welcome back to Half-Ass. I'm here with Andrew as always, and today I'm joined by the fellows from Monsoon Tactical for the Mac 9 DS Part 2. So before we get into that, we still have our giveaway going on, 500 rounds of Winchester 9mm. Like, follow, comment, subscribe, smoke signals for a chance to win. We're really close to hitting our goal, then we can start our next giveaway. But rolling straight in, introduce you guys to Vinny from Monsoon, and then Zack as well. The brains and the muscle, I guess, right? You guys want to talk a little bit about what you do and what you offer?
Yeah, so we own and operate Monsoon Tactical. My name is Vinny. This is Zack. We are pretty much a custom shop here located in Johnstown, Ohio. Well, a little bit down the road, not here exactly, but we have a good working relationship with Zack and Andrew here over at Buckeye. And we've been doing quite a few projects lately together, as well as for ourselves. So obviously in front of us today we got the infamous Cerakote.
The Cerakote, yeah.
Which is the Mac DS9, which is also made by T-Sauce.
Yep.
So
you get your hands really deep into 2011s. I mean, you guys cut your teeth on Staccato and other 2011s. What do you think about this gun? Because we're catching a lot of heat from our part one of it's just another Turkish 2011 that's a piece of shit.
Yeah, so I've been shooting a 2011 platform, STI Staccato, since 2019. And we've had pretty much every make model come through the shop, between the Prodigy, the Gerson 2311s, you know, you name it, we've had it. The Bull Armory stuff, you know, pretty much, you know, if you know who we are, I would say we're one of the premier shops doing third-party aftermarket modification to 2011 guns in general.
Yeah, I can't scroll through Instagram without seeing some gun tuber with your shit. So.
Yeah, and honestly, for the limited, right, I'll at least start with that caveat, still limited, but I've been shooting this platform kind of long enough, in my opinion, to know within a decent amount of time if it's going to be good or not, right? So I got my hands on the Gerson 2311, another Turkish double stack, and that thing it's trash. The Prodigy, Andrew, you had mentioned before shooting this gun on your part one that the Prodigy was a piece of shit compared to this thing. I would agree.
I think the biggest thing was I went into this thinking in my mind I was going to compare this to a Staccato.
Yeah.
And the entire time I was shooting it, I just kept thinking of all of the bad examples of 2011s and how much better this was than those bad examples.
So the thing that, and I had a conversation with this about a customer yesterday, is like trying to compare certain things to other things is kind of dumb when you're looking at the price point of each individual thing.
How fucking dare you compare things?
Just because it's like you got to have a little bit of a mindset of like, okay, this is a $900 pistol. Why am I going to compare it to a $2,600 gun? Which you could do that, I suppose. I mean, in general, I think, again, with the limited amount of rounds that we've had through it, which is, I would say, was been about that 500 to 600 round range. It's more than what most gun tubers will put through a gun. But for us and what we do, you know, when we go to test certain products, we're putting 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 rounds through a pistol to kind of get an idea of what we want. This gun, stock, has impressed me. There's nothing in it that's MIM, to my knowledge, on this particular model.
Yeah, they claim there's no MIM parts.
There's no MIM, so it's like, this is a, you know, probably MSRP $1,200-1,300 bucks.
Yeah,
right?
I think it's right at 12.
Street price, you're probably going to pay $9. I've seen them go for $9 on Gunbroker.
Yep, $9,950.
Versus a Prodigy, which is how much?
15?
Yeah, $12.50 to $15, depending on where you're picking it up at.
And you're going to buy that gun and gut it because it's got MIM parts to then put more money into it to put billet parts in it.
I don't know a single customer that has a Prodigy that is 100% satisfied with it, that has not altered the gun in any way.
Well, don't we have a Prodigy owner down there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with mine after we got the EGW parts kit into it, and which is essentially what anybody who's looking to hot rod that gun really should do when they get it. Does the gun shoot well out of the box? I thought that it does shoot well for what it was out of the box, and then starting to go down the rabbit hole a little bit more. Obviously, the more parts you throw at something, the better and better and better it's going to feel. that being said, with the amount of issues that gun had upon release and unfortunately continues to have, it makes things like this a little bit more attractive, because even though it's at a comparable, or I'm not going to say cheaper, but let's say more affordable price point, I think it's the better alternative out of the two for somebody who's just looking to pick one up and mess with the platform the first time, and then somebody who might be looking at it a little bit more long term to start modding it, either by sending it to us for porting and upgrades, or whatever that they can get their hands on.
This gun, like I was just saying, the way it is, I think is a phenomenal execution of the double stacked platform. And again, it is made by T-Sauce. Mac is the one that spec'd the gun, to my understanding, and then T-Sauce built it for them. So like the T-Sauce double stacks that are very similar, not the same features like the American market wants: RMR plates, bull barrels, full length light rails. Those other T-Sauce guns are $600, and they're same pretty good build quality. Again, you guys getting some slack over this gun is kind of a little mind-boggling to me, because what it is and what it's for, it kind of crosses all the boxes for me, as far as like, this is a gun that if you're kind of 2011 curious, you can get into without hurting yourself. Everyone asks me what the kind of entry-level 2011 is. In my opinion now, it is the Staccato. So you can't really compare something lower than that to what I would consider entry level.
Sure.
And what I mean by entry level is you're going to buy it and it's going to work.
Yeah.
So far these have worked, just grabbing them. Anything outside of that, Prodigy, anything lower, 2311, Gerson, you're going to buy it and you're going to have to fuck with it.
Yeah, this, when we initially did the video, was going in to compare it to a Staccato, because, I mean, it's what it looks like. That, and then the Prodigy, which we ended up comparing it a lot to. But the one thing I did say in the video, and I'll hold true to that the whole time, is we don't know what the durability of this gun's going to be.
Just like with anything else, it's going to take time. It's going to take data to figure out what's going to happen. On paper, there really shouldn't be any problems. It's executed well. It's got billet parts. Again, you put 500 through yours. I probably put about 500 to 600 through the modified one here. I haven't had any problems. So take that for what it's worth. Everyone's mileage is going to vary.
You want to walk us through, do you have something first?
Yeah, I was just going to talk to the durability aspect. I mean, a big thing that we touched on a lot in part one was that we've had a Staccato P on our rental rack now for almost 2 years.
Yeah, 40,000 rounds through it.
And yeah, it's well into a very established, what I would consider
rebuilt
service life. And this gun, it just runs day in, day out. It requires very little maintenance compared to some of our other more temperamental guns. Don't ever buy a Chris Vector. And it's just...
a super semi-auto Chris Vector is really fun.
If you buy a Chris Vector, buy a full auto one.
Super semi-auto.
Good advice. So the whole concept of these guns, I mean, I'm really excited about the future of this gun, mainly because I think that what this gun does is it's going to put pressure on the 2011 market. This gun, being at the price point it is and being at the quality it seems to be, I think is going to really shake things up a bit.
Well, that's been a lot of people's mission, was to throw their hat in the ring with a budget double stack 1911, right? Because Gerson tried it, and again, their execution was very poor. Springfield tried it, again, good base gun, but they missed the mark.
Island?
Well, they've been around longer.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even consider that this realm, because that's a two-piece gun, right? You got frame, slide. This is a three-piece gun. That's kind of what makes it a 2011. But since 2011 is patented, you cannot call it a 2011.
The Rock Island is more like an obese 1911.
Yeah, it's just chonk. It's a chonky. So, to kind of what you're saying, this particular platform, like I said, for me, looking at it from my perspective, it checks all the boxes. It's got a full-length light rail. It has an optics compatible system that caters to the American market. It's got a bull barrel. It's got a full-length guide rod. Good slide to frame fit and billet parts, and it's all steel. The Gerson was a alloyed steel slide gun, which is dumb for the price because that's about the same price as this.
I think on the shelf it's the same exact price.
20-pound trigger, it's trash. So this thing, in my opinion, for what it is checking all the boxes for a majority of people, including myself, at $900.
So at that price point, what kind of gun would you say that it is? Because like I'm looking at a gun like this, and let's say, if we're gonna state that the Staccato is sort of the entry level or the gold standard, that sort of gun, I would be comfortable with putting 500 rounds through on a break-in and sending 50 rounds of, let's say, your favorite carry ammo through it and going, okay, cool, I will put this thing in a holster and carry it with me every single day. Things underneath Staccato, I would feel more comfortable putting 5,000 rounds through one of these guns, let's say, at the lower price point, just to validate that if it's something that I would want to carry personally, or maybe it's just sort of like a haha fun range toy.
So that's where my mindset is with this gun and most 2011s. I don't carry a 2011 or a double stack 9 like that for a carry gun. I'm a 43X, 365X macro is like my large carry gun. Mm-hmm. This to me is a range toy. This is, obviously you can use it for home defense, whatever else, but purpose driven. We talk about that a lot on our show. And for me, my purpose is to have fun and sporting, more or less. So I don't care as much about some of the little nuancy things. I'm not trusting my life with it.
Yeah, everyone's subset of like parameters are different of what they want with the gun, right? So it's like for me, I switched, my carry gun differs. That there's been a very long string there where I was carrying 2011 pretty much every day. It didn't matter, C2. And then as of recent, it just depends. It's either the C2 or a Glock 26. But again, this kind of platform, though it is old technology dating back to the 1911, there's nothing different about the gun as far as the way it operates, as far as in the internals and everything. It's a 1911 that takes bigger mags, holds more bullets, but at the core, that's where it came from. So it's like the platform is that old, but there's still a little bit of training that has to go into using one of these guns at its max efficiency, because I've seen it, all these people that are jumping on the 2011 train, they can't shoot it worth the fuck because they go to draw the gun, and what do they forget? They forget to drop the safety, or you get these guys that are just putting goon tape and dumb shit and rubber bands around the grip safety because they can't train around that and figure out how to use the gun. So it's like, is it going to be a carry gun? Is it going to be a play gun? I don't know. Like, that's the question that everyone asks us about porting. Like, is this going to be good for self-defense or whatever? It's like, I don't know. What is your personal set of parameters that dictates that it's going to be good for you?
Yeah, you take a class, you take 3 different instructors, and they're going to recommend 3 different things too.
So it's like, what's good? What's good, what's not? From the perspective of like what is here, it's a really good gun for the money. So, and then we kind of talk about, we took this $900 gun and took it to the next level with not too much extra.
I was going to say, why don't you walk us through what you did? Because these guns are pretty much identical.
Yeah, so this one was a gun, they're both Mac DS9s, obviously. But this one was sent to us from a customer that had one pretty early. We were trying to get our hands on these as soon as possible because we saw the potential that they had for what we do, right? And honestly, both of these guns, like you said, are identical minus the different colorways. But
because green is better.
We got green versus FDE here. The only thing, we did our GHEGHIS Komp to it, which is our integral compensated chamber machined into the barrel with a matching top window in the slide. It's giving us like that XC Staccato or XC vibe. Have a lot of rounds through it, a lot of data, a lot of testing. So we did the same to your guys's, obviously, and then did some framework to the grips. The Mac DS9 and the T-Sauce grips are a little chonky, so slimmed them up, gave them some texture. We got welder's flash on this one, and then cherry blossom on yours. So just some very basic modifications that we would do to, like I would say at the basic level, which is just some porting and some stippling, and we did take the trigger and tune it up a little bit. I didn't change any parts or pieces. Everything in the gun that you feel is stock, so stock disconnector, stock sear, stock hammer, stock sear spring. We just tuned the sear spring a little bit to the way that I personally like it.
It's sweet.
And then took the over travel out of the trigger, just cleaned it up a little bit, and I think we brought it down to like 2.5, 3 pounds.
And then out of the box, they're oversprung.
Yes, they are oversprung. Yours, well, they're sprung according to the gun from the factory.
They're set up more like a duty pistol.
Yeah. Now, when we do the comp on it, like when we were shooting, I said that this one still has a sock spring. It could use resprung because the comp is doing so much work that I'm actually getting negative recoil from the return to zero.
You would get negative recoil off an LCP though, Vinny.
Possibly, I don't know. But basically what I'm talking about, guys, is when I'm shooting this gun in particular, the spring in it's so heavy that it's pushing the gun down, going back into battery because the comp is doing so much work. Versus this one, we resprung with a 10-pound spring, I believe. And when that gun goes off, it just returns back to zero perfectly. It's awesome. So, yeah, we did a main spring recoil spring change in this one. This one is completely stock minus these modifications. I mean, you're talking less than $600 in mods to get it to this point. So now you're into the gun for $1,500, which is still way under a Staccato stock.
Yeah, I mean, I think outside the optic and light, this setup is like $1,700 or so retail.
Yeah, accessories are kind of like one of them things. I don't throw that into the actual category of what the gun's worth because those are what they are. Those are constant. No matter where you go, you're going to probably pay very similar prices for an SRO or a TLR. HL. So it's like the accessories are kind of, you're going to have something different. I'm going to have something different. So I don't include the price of optics and lights. All in, the gun's probably $1,500 set up without any accessories, which is still pretty legit.
What I think is entertaining is we hit the nail on the head or you did anyway, on all of the heat we're taking on the comment section outside of the comparison to a Staccato, which rightfully so, right? We don't know what the durability of this thing's going to be, but everybody, sweet gun, thick grip.
Yeah.
It's a chunky boy, right? You guys shaved it down, then stippled it. I mean, this gun is amazing to shoot.
Yeah, that's what we do, right? It's kind of one of them things where you could still get into this gun, modify it, and be under Staccato money. Is it a Staccato? No. It's a Mac DS9, so quit trying to compare it as such.
Fine.
Look, man, it's one of them things where it's the same gun but different. Same but different.
It's like everyone's Staccato, but we have Staccato at home.
Yeah, and that's just the thing. Like, I've had people talk to me about QC issues with Staccatos. QC is the biggest killer for most things, right? How much time and energy are people going to put into these? I don't know. I don't know what max QC.
It's not even close to what Staccatos is.
Even just small, minute problems that'll come, right? Because there's just some small things on these platforms that they're not done right, they're going to be unreliable. Extractors that aren't tuned right are going to cause bigger problems. Like the trigger being not set up the right way. There's these small things that can be caught in QC that sometimes squeak through, even on Staccato, where I've had literally people say, hey, my Staccato has a dead trigger, what's up? Well, your over travel speed is probably in too far. Back it out 2 turns and it fixes it. That small thing can cause problems for any manufacturer. So it's like the level of quality control dictates the overall product and how well it's going to do. So far, so good with these.
And that's something that people really, really like to get into. Like, it doesn't matter if a company has a great warranty or a great QC. The goal should be to never use it. I'm going to tell you flat out, we've been in this business for quite a while. I've never, ever seen a single company that has not made a mistake.
Yeah. The QC processing requires manpower.
It's money.
So it's like, money. Here's the deal. That's probably a good place to talk about is like Staccatos are a little bit more. There's a little bit more attention to detail. There's more people putting hands on these guns. These things, no. So there's a good part of that money that you're spending is part of paying for QC, for sure. Not to mention it is kind of expensive to make these guns. Kind of like getting around or ahead of that process. It's like, would you rather just take the hit now or deal with it for the next year or two?
I think every new SIG firearm released in the last 15 years has been recalled.
Yeah.
So
at the end of the day, when it comes to guns within this price point, and then comparable guns that more or less they are built as a nod to, we get asked a lot: is the Staccato worth the money, or can I get into a Mac or a T-Sauce or anything else or a Prodigy and mod it and still have a gun that's just as good? And the thing that I explain to people over and over and over again is, if it's within your budget and you can afford the Staccato, buy the Staccato. If the Staccato is outside of the realm of reality, or you're having a hard time with that in your mind, budget-wise, there are options that are more cost-effective that are not bad options, and the Mac is one of them.
And we just did a T-Sauce DR9. I can't remember the exact number on it, but it was a commander length double stack 9mm made by T-Sauce.
This gets compared to it a lot.
Well, they should be, because they're
Same
made by the
company,
same company. That's how you compare a gun. You compare the same shit together, and then you can make a fucking good decision, right? But the reason we did this gun for Roger, $600 gun, street price, right? Super cheap. That's Glock money, right? That's polymer gun area money. And he went wild on the paint job. We did some extra serrations. We did a Lucky Sevens porting package on it because it was a bushing barrel, since it was a cheaper gun, no bull barrel. And then we stippled the grip. So at the end of that, the gun, probably without accessories again, with the work and the gun, was probably $1,900 all in. I've seen comments in his video saying, man, I don't know if I would pour, that much money into a gun. And it's just like, that's on the higher end, right? And there's a couple things to think about there. You can piece together these things over time. That's when people build ARs and stuff. They're like, I'm gonna buy this receiver, and then next month I'm gonna buy this part and this part and this part, and then by the end I'll have this badass gun, right? That if your budget dictates that you're able to piece it together, then that kind of makes sense. So like he was saying, is it in your realm of budget? No, I can't afford $2,500 up front. I can't save that kind of money. I can buy this and I can get it ported, so then I'll be into it for $900. Okay, cool. Then next year goes by. Okay, I want to get it stippled. Okay, cool. There's another $195, and if that's as far as you want to go, you're into a double stack 1911 gun for $1,100, $1,200. That's going to shoot really well. So like people that are like, I don't want to, why are you dumping money into a budget gun? It's kind of like, well, some people can't afford to go buy the best stuff, so they're going to slowly piece the gun together, or they can afford to save 100 there, 100 there, and send it in for modification. So it's, again, we could talk about this for hours on why people do what they do, but at the end of the day, what we see is a lot of people get excited about a platform. People like to accessorize and customize guns. You guys probably know that very well.
Oh God, yeah.
And
I'm out of your business cards.
For a lot of people like this, even a Prodigy is like, I want to get that and do this, that, and the other thing, and still be under. Like their goal is to be less than a Staccato. Like they want to do that. They get endorphins from doing that kind of shit.
I think Staccato set the gold standard with the P. I mean,
well, they have, and like I said, that is, in my
the
opinion,
benchmark.
the entry level. I can pick this gun up and run it.
There's a reason,
that's what I see.
There's a reason departments and some military units and people like that are actually using a Staccato P, and that's because it's a proven platform.
Yeah.
I mean, Columbus SWAT uses Staccato Ps. They run the absolute crap out of those guns. They absolutely love it. I think a really, really big factor here, though, is like when I talk to customers across the counter about these guns, especially Mac also makes the MP5 and the Benelli clones too. I hear exactly what you guys are saying. People want these guns because they want to make it their own.
Right.
Then there's a whole other class of people that wants a Staccato because they want a Staccato. They see the P and they're like, I want that gun.
Correct.
They don't want to customize it.
Right.
But when they look at this, they think, I can make this into that crazy Monsoon gun, or I can buy that Benelli and make it into the crazy John Wick Benelli, or make a custom MP5.
Yeah, everyone, and like I said, this gun, the way it is stock, would be good enough for someone to dip their toe in the market or the area, right? Because I've seen it all over the place. The staccato again, and this is a lot of things that people don't remember. Is like, STI was the original place that this gun originated from, between 3 different people. One split off and owns Infinity SBI, and then the 2 stayed with STI. If I'm remembering my history right. Those guns, those probably, I don't care, but the main beef and meat and potatoes to this is true. Is the STI platform was not considered reliable years ago. This gun is not new by any means.
I remember having a very specific conversation with somebody that's like if you had to buy any gun right now, tell me why it wouldn't be an STI. And my immediate answer was because I don't want to have to worry about a gun that I have to tune magazines to run.
The original STI had problems. A lot of it was magazine related, but we get a lot of old STIs popping up in the shop for modification, and we're running into small hiccups and problems with them that we see in the Prodigy and stuff like that. It's not by any means, if done wrong, a good platform. So Staccato P 2019, Staccato P comes around, then switching in hands of the business happens, and now we have Staccato, no longer STI, Staccato, and they take the brand in a different direction and find out a way to make these guns reliable. I think this gun's going to be, again, once we have a little bit more time on them, going to be proven to be able to fill that. What you're getting is going to be a very good value for the money.
It's a poor man's Staccato, and there's nothing wrong with that.
It's a Turcado.
If you look back and you look at some of the other Striker Fire guns, look at something that's like a high-end Smith that's their competitor, a high-end Glock like the 34 competition, right? And then you look at something like a Canic. Mm-hmm. That's similar realm there. You've got a higher-end gun that costs a lot of money because it just costs a lot of money, and then Canic comes in and shocks the market, and same thing. 10 years ago? Well, we'll see. We'll see what the reliability is, whatever else. Now these things are out there running in competitions all the time.
And, the Gerson, right? I don't have a whole lot of rounds through the gun. I can't tell you if it's a reliable gun or not, because I just don't feel like I want to put my time, money, and energy into figuring it out.
Oh, yeah.
But I've had Gersons. I've heard that the Turkish guns are supposed to fit a certain set of criteria to even be sold, if I'm correct.
Depends
as
on
far as the reliability and stuff, which I know Gerson's one of those. They have quite a few things that they have to pass to.
Yeah, they do. They do high power clones that are pretty nice. And
yeah, so it's I would imagine that the Turkish guns that are being put out, like the Canics
shotguns,
seem to be pretty reliable and well built for the money. So,
well, that's a lot of information.
Yeah.
So, while I've got you guys here, to wrap this up, we get a lot of questions from people all the time. I mean, you started seeing it towards the end of Shooting League that you started getting an audience. People want to know, especially our customer base, what is Zack and Vinny's preferred brands of 2011? Obviously, Staccato is going to be in there, but you guys see a lot. Even some of the weird stuff, like the Platypus and what's that Oracle Arms one too. But what are your top 3, top 5 brands for 2011s that are out there? Because people want to know. They ask us all the time. I'm like, my name's not Vinny.
Top 5. That's honestly a pretty hard one.
I want to know all brands
Okay.
because we already talked about here about making a gun your own. That's what you guys specialize in, is just taking something and just turning it into your dream gun, your hot rod, right?
Yeah.
All the brands you guys have had experience with, all the modifications you've done, all the rounds you put down range. Give me a top 5 brands that it doesn't have to be a 2011. Just what do you love customizing? What do you see the most value in? Get out on the range and have a great time with, whether it be a competition or just showing off.
Or anything that might have surprised you over the years too.
Staccato, Echelon, Glock, and then the other gun that's super cool that we've been seeing a lot of lately, not really a lot of, but we've had a good handful come through, and it's at that higher price point. I think the Fowler, the Vanta 9, is a pretty neat gun.
Yeah.
For show.
We haven't had a chance to mess with those yet.
They're nice. So, I would say my top 5 right now, as far as working on them and having fun with them, would be number 1, Staccato. Number 2 would probably be the PDP. You know, the PDP, to me, there are some things on it that less be desired, which is why we came out with the Pro Spec for Scott, and we've been seeing a lot of those. For me, it's more like, what are the coolest things that we've done? We've done a lot of cool shit with the Staccato. We've been pushing that platform beyond what it probably should be, like he said. Testing, evaluation, T&E, R&D, whatever the fuck you want to call it, we've pushed the platform to the point of breaking the gun. So Staccato is number 1 for that reason. Number 2,
if I had to pick one more, I would put the Platypus on that list because those guns are cool as hell.
Number 2, PDP. We've been doing a lot of those. Number 3 would probably be an MMP. Same thing, just a lot of those coming through. 4 and 5, it's kind of up in the air. There's like we said, we're spoiled with the fact that we get to see anything and everything that probably most people wouldn't get their hands on in one spot. Platypus is really fucking cool. The Vanta 9, we just did an Atlas. So someone actually grew a pair of balls and sent us an Atlas in, and that gun was sweet. So it's like, I don't know if I have a 4 and a 5. Glocks are probably always going to be in that. We give Glock number 4 spot because that's pretty much where we got the start, and we've always had those. Number 5, I don't know. I'll leave that open to interpretation. To me, looking at it from the outside, this is a good base gun, but I'm still going to go after something a little bit better for me personally. So it's like the progression of that, it kind of depends on your experience with the platform, which I think this is a good, like we've talked about it over and over again, entry level piece to get familiar with something new, kind of dip your toe in, and then like if you don't like it, you know, odds are you're probably going to be able to sell it for what you paid for it and not be, you know, financially irresponsible.
On that note, where can everybody find you guys?
Yeah, right now,
on your website.
Right now you can go to our website, www.monsoontactical.com. Right now our primary social media is monsoon_tactical, where you can find a majority of our stuff. We do have a YouTube, but we're not very active there yet, which I believe is also monsoon_tactical. If you need to get a hold of us directly, all the emails and contact information is on our website. You'll be talking to this gentleman right here most of the time. Every once in a while, I'll make a guest appearance on the phone. So, other than that, guys, we appreciate you guys having us in.
Most of them.
You guys do the thing, the algorithm, subscribe, show your asshole, you'll get free ammo. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Hey, everybody, appreciate you taking the time to listen to us ramble. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Again, like Vinny said, I don't want to see that, but thanks for taking the time to listen, guys, and we'll see you next week.